Hello everyone, this is Satish Kumar. I am here with another lesson on current affairs for civil service mains, and this is a very important topic. This is about United Nations Security Council reforms, a topic that has been discussed in recent times. Okay, in fact, our Prime Minister is repeatedly saying that United Nations Security Council needs reform, and India is aspiring to become a permanent member. So we need to know what this is. Okay, and also because why it is so much important this year is the 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of United Nations, which was founded in 1945. So because of that reason also it becomes so important. Okay, so as I said, no, this is in news because it is the 75th year of the foundation of United Nations. So 75 years back United Nations was founded after the Second World War. The main aim at that time was to maintain world peace and security. Okay, and also to smoothly and successfully transform decolonization process. Okay, in fact United Nations could be said that it has been successful to a certain extent in the decolonization process with the help of member countries, and also it prevented another major war like World War. Okay, so for the 75 years there wasn't any big war. Okay, so it has prevented. Okay, it has done a lot of work. There's nothing wrong about United Nations. It has done a lot of work. In fact, the previous body similar to United Nations was the League of Nations, which was founded in 1919 after Second World War, First World War, which was actually considered as a failure. Okay, but in comparison, United Nations has been most successful. Okay, but the United Nations was founded in 1945, and the setup in 1945 is being continued even today without many changes in it. Okay, especially one major thing is there is only 5 permanent members which were in the early period. There are United Nations Security Council's membership is given to only 5 members who are permanent. In fact, they are considered as permanent members, and they hold the leadership of United Nations Security Council. Although there are 10 non-permanent members, but they don't have the power because the veto power is held by the 5 United Nations Security Council members. As a result, then at present situation there need to be some reforms. That is the major aim. Okay, that is what it is being discussed. In fact, India is one of the very sound voice in seeking reform in the United Nations. Okay, so why United Nations need reform? Questions like this may ask, or why India desires to become a United Nations Security Council member, or why India should be, that is India is eligible to become a United Nations Security Council member. All these kind of things are very important. So we will see everything in detail. Okay. So first we will see something about United Nations Security Council. So United Nations Security Council is one of the 6 main organs of United Nations. The other being things like United Nations General Assembly, Economic and Social Council, Trustee Council. Okay, like that. So, but what is different from other organs to United Nations Security Council is the other organizations could make recommendations to member countries. It is not binding on the member countries. Okay, but when United Nations Security Councils make a recommendation, it is obligated on the member state. There is an obligation on the member state to implement that order. Okay, so it has a weightage. Okay, And since it has a weightage, no, here comes the trouble. It means that whatever US say, United Nations say, no, it has to be followed. But the United Nations Security Council membership is, there are only 5 permanent members and they have veto powers, and they are USA, China, Russia, France and UK. So if you see this membership, no, you will find that a lot of places like Latin America, that is South America, and Africa and Asia are not represented here. Okay, Eastern Europe, a lot of people are not represented here. The 5 permanent members are only US, China, Russia, France and UK. Okay, in fact India is not represented. Another 2 superpowers like Germany and Japan is not represented. Okay, so this is the reason that they are asking for reform. Okay, see, the United Nations Security Council was founded with the aim of maintaining peace and security, and it is headquartered in New York. Okay, so there are 5 permanent members, as I said, USA, China, Russia, France and UK, and they have veto powers. It also has some 10 non-permanent members who don't have any veto power. Okay, in fact the non-permanent members will have a 2-year period. Okay, and they are elected by 2/3 members of the United Nations General Assembly, that is the 192 members. Okay, and 193 at present. Okay, and every year the General Assembly will elect 5 members, so that in 2 years there will be 10 members, so that the other will be, they will be retiring accordingly. Okay, and the main criteria for eligibility is to the maintenance of international peace and security. Okay, what was the contribution of the member country to the maintenance of international peace and security. And India has been so far elected to this non-permanent membership was 7 times, and India was also elected this year to represent as a non-permanent member for 2021 and 22. So 8th time India is getting elected as non-permanent member. But India wants to become a permanent member. That is the reform. They are giving India non-permanent membership, but India wants to become a permanent member. Okay, please remove. So what are the functions of United Nations Security Council? There are a lot of functions, like I have given here something like they will investigate in case of any dispute which might lead to international friction. See, if recently we saw some friction between Armenia and Azerbaijan, if that dispute, it looked like a regional conflict, right? But suddenly if that regional conflict becomes a major conflict, no, it will lead to a big war, right? That is how big wars come. In fact, a small fight between Serbia and Austria led to the First World War. Okay, so they don't want such a thing to happen, so they want to solve those things earlier. So they will investigate whenever there is a dispute, that whether it will lead to international friction, they will interfere immediately. So they will interfere and recommend methods for adjusting such disputes. That is the second function. And they will also formulate some plans and system. So you could see whenever there is a problem, the United Nations will first issue a statement, then the United Nations members will visit that country and talk between the parties. So these kind of things will happen, so that they will come to some solve this method. That is how this peace and security is being carried by UN. Okay, and if there is an aggressor who is not obeying the UN and acting like a rogue, no, in such a case the country United Nations will ask all the member countries to sanction that country, to apply economic sanction to that rogue nation. If some nation says no, if at present they are saying that no country should possess nuclear weapons. And if tomorrow some country say that I want to test nuclear weapon, no, the UN will say don't do it. But if the country is saying that I will do it, then what they will do? They will apply economic sanctions. Okay. Similarly, if a country is annexing another territory of another country, no, in such a case also they will apply this economic sanction on that country. Okay, and they will also, if need, take military action against the aggressor. Okay. United Nations Security Council also recommend admission of new members to the General Assembly. Okay. In fact, they make the recommendation to the appointment of Secretary General. In fact, if you have remembered correctly, when Ban Ki-moon, the previous United Nations Security General, when he was before he was elected, actually another person, that is India's Shashi Tharoor, was also considered for that post. Okay, but because USA don't want to veto, in fact, Shashi Kumar. Actually, USA, because the 5 members has the power, no. So USA was not willing to give it to Shashi Tharoor. As a result, Shashi Tharoor, our Indian who is at present MP, no, he was not elected as a Secretary General. Okay, so United Nations Secretary General holds the power to appointment of United Nations Security Council hold the power to appoint the Secretary General of General Assembly. Okay, and it also, along with the Assembly, elect the judges of International Court of Justice. Okay, so these are all the functions, some of the functions. There are more functions. If you want to read it carefully, visit my World History lecture on United Nations Foundation, where I would give very detailed. Okay, okay. So now, what is the need for reforms? As I've been saying all this time, right? See, the UN was formed in 1945. So at that time there are some aim. Okay. So based on that, the Security Council setup was set up. But the world has changed. In fact, at that time, initially there were 2 major powers. Then in the 1990s, US became a single major power, and now we are witnessing a kind of China emerging as as a strong contender for power with USA, and there is also countries like India, Germany, Japan, and they are also. So we are living in a multilateral world. Okay, it is not a Westerners as not the single most power in the world. So there are a lot of Latin American countries like Brazil, like India in the Asian country. So there are many powerful states. So the UN should be accordingly. It should not be based on the 1945 setup. That is the need for reforms. Okay, and also because the United Nations Security Council's decisions, no, it could interfere in a state sovereignty. That is, when it makes a decision, it has to be an obligation as the state has to follow. Okay, in such a situation, it means it is binding on that particular member states, but that member state is not even having a proper representation in the United Nations Security Council. For example, Asia, Africa, Latin America and Caribbean, no, they are not having any proper representation in the United Nations Security Council. But for them, orders are coming from people other people. So it is not a democratic, it will not be a democratic system. So it will delegitimize the decisions of United Nations Security Council. And this is how some countries know they won't accept the decision of United Nations Security Council later, until the reforms is not made, because they will feel that why we have to obey, because we are not even represented. Okay, see, if if there is a democratic system, everybody should have some say in on representation. So this one reason itself makes the reforms in United Nations a very important one. Okay, very essential one. Okay, and some of the eligible members are not recognized in the United Nations Security Council. In fact, the Charter of the United Nations itself says that countries which are making considerable contributions to the UN should become members of Security Council. In that criteria, India, Japan, Germany have made significant contributions to UN. Okay, so they need place in Security Council, United Nations Security Council. Okay, where they have some power. Okay, and United Nations Security Council reform has not done any time in recent times. Since 1965, there wasn't any reform. Okay, only once the non-permanent member was increased. Initially, it was 6 something. Now it is 10. Okay, so there wasn't there was not any reform since 1965. It is like almost 55 years. Okay, so any organization which is not changing for 55 years will become outdated. So naturally UN is outdated because the present world is multilateralism. Okay, in such a situation, the setup of the UN should also represent such a kind of system. Okay, so the reform is necessary. So now we will see something about India and United Nations Security Council, the relationship between India and United Nations. Okay, see, India is founding member of UN. Okay, and India has always served in the non-permanent member. Excuse me. See, India has been 7-time non-permanent member of United Nations Security Council, and at present it was elected for the 8th term. So, and India in all this period has played a major role whenever United Nations was in need. For example, during Korean War, during the Arab-Israel conflict. Okay, and in fact India played a major role in the decolonization process. That is, the colonies which were previously ruled by the European powers, especially in Asia and Africa, India played a major role in decolonization. India has condemned the apartheid regime in South Africa. India has criticized the minority white regime in Zimbabwe. Okay, remember in the I used to watch cricket in the 90s. In those days, there is a team called Zimbabwe. Okay, Zimbabwe is 98% ethnicity people were blacks. Okay, but their cricket team, all the 11 players except one guy named Wendy Olanga, all other people are white people. Okay, so that was the situation. So there is a minority white regime in Zimbabwe, so we criticize that. So India played a very important role. In fact, India became the first chair of the decolonization committee. So India has always been a big supporter of UN and its initiatives. Not only this, but also when it takes it organs like other organs, which take some steps. For example, if there is the Millennium Development Goals or at present the Sustainable Development Goals, all these are strictly followed by India as per the name and spirit of the way UN proposes. So India is one country which have a very good relationship with UN. Okay, and that is reason India deserves the permanent membership, and there are some particular reason that India deserves the permanent membership. What are those particular reasons? See, India is the single largest contributor of United Nations peacekeeping forces. This is very, very important. Okay, India is the single largest contributor of United Nations peacekeeping, more than US, China, everybody. Okay, and India has always paid its dues, that is the contribution for UN regularly, okay, the full contribution, okay, and apart from this criteria, the other, if you take other criteria like population size, India is the second largest populated country in the world. The territory of India is such huge, okay, and the GDP, by purchasing power parity, we are the third largest economy in the world and fifth largest economy in the world, a growing economy, okay, and potential with high growth rate, with huge population. The economic potential is such large, and India also have such a high, very old civilizational legacy and cultural diversity, okay, and the political system in India is also democratic system, a very vibrant democratic system. In fact, I would say Indian democratic system is far better. In fact, in my opinion, this is my opinion. In fact, I would say it is better than US. Okay, we have a very sound democratic system. So, in all these criteria, India is overqualified for a permanent membership. India has everything that is needed for being a permanent membership. Okay, and India is also a nuclear weapon state, which makes them equal with all the other 5 permanent members who are also nuclear weapon state. So, India is deserved to become a permanent membership. Okay, this is how you have to substantiate your points. If tomorrow they are asking question why India should be a permanent member, like that. Okay, and now what are the area of reform that you that is needed in the United Nations Security Council? See, there need to be expansion in both permanent and non-permanent membership. In fact, at present, the United Nations Security Council members know they are proposing to increase only non-permanent members, but India says that there should be permanent membership also increase. Okay, in fact, they are willing to give more non-permanent membership. But what is the use of non-permanent membership who don't have any power? Okay, of course they will have some power, but not as much as the 5 permanent members who have the veto power. So India is even called for the abolition of veto power, which makes them, which make those countries very powerful. Okay, so India has called that reform. Okay, and India wants that there need to be equitable geographical representation, that countries like Africa and countries like other countries in Asia and countries like South America should have its due representation. Because these are all very highly populated place, but they are not having any enough representation in the United Nations Security Council. So there should be representation based on the geographical condition. That should be equitable geographical representation. Okay, and there should be steps taken to resolve the non-representation or under-representation in the UN Security Council. In fact, both in the permanent and non-permanent categories. In fact, India is saying that there should be some. India is not proposing for a quantitative reform, that is more number of membership. India is just saying that qualitative reform. It is saying that we have to add just another 10 membership. Okay, and in this 10 membership, 6 members should be permanent, another 6 members. So it will take the permanent member to 11 and 4 members to the non-permanent member. Okay, which will take it to 14. So that is the total strength of 25 or 26 is what India is proposing. So that is enough. India don't want another 20 members, 30 members, but the quality should be there. For example, Africa should have a representation in the United Nations Security Council permanent membership, so that Africa will have some say in the permanent membership. Okay. Similarly, countries like Brazil. Okay. So this is how India is arguing its case. Okay. India, what are the strategies that India is adopting for itself? That is India, how it wants to become a United Nations permanent member. Okay. India is using first is to get maximum support from the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, so the United Nations General Assembly 193 members, no, we want maximum support from them. There are countries which were not supporting us. For example, Pakistan will not support us. Okay, and there are countries like that, and we want to get maximum support. Okay, if we are so that is what at one end we are trying. The other end is we want minimum resistance from the United Nations Security Council. Minimum resistance means we don't want any resistance from the 5 members. Okay, in fact, if one member resisted, the council cannot be expanded because that member has the veto power. Okay, such is the nature of United Nations Security Council. Okay, although 4 members like US, UK, France and Russia are saying publicly that they are supporting India's membership, and China is the only one who is opposing for India's membership for in a permanent council, in the permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. But even the 4 countries who are supporting are only saying publicly, but they are not acting. If they could act, they could make China to accept their demand, but they are not doing it because, let us get real, nobody will love to lose their power. Okay, and this is one reason. Okay, and to overcome this problem, India has also formed what is known as Group of 4. Okay, that is along with Brazil, Germany and Japan. Both these 3 countries are like India, also have equal merit like India to become a permanent member. So we have formed a group, and we called Group 4, and we are proposing, the Group 4 has made a proposal. In fact, they are the one that made the proposal that there should be 6 permanent member and 4 non-permanent member, and the United Nations Security Council should be enlarged to 25 members. Okay, so they are the one that proposed. Okay, so what are the challenges that India face in getting this United Nations security membership? Okay, see, as I said earlier, the P5 countries, that is the present permanent member countries, countries like USA, UK, France, Russia and China, they actually want to maintain the status quo, that is they want to maintain the power. Okay, no powerful person will let the power to go, so they are resisting any change. In fact, they are willing to increase the non-permanent member, but not willing to give permanent membership to others. That is one reason. And the second reason for India challenge is, see, India has grouped into this Group 4, that is Germany, Japan and Brazil, and jointly asking for this as 4 non-permanent members instead of asking as a single for India. See, why this is acting against India is, see, in some countries in the United Nations General Assembly, for example, a country called Argentina will have no issue with India becoming a United Nations permanent member, but it will have issue in Brazil becoming a permanent member. Similarly, Italy also will not have any problem India becoming a permanent member, but it will have problem that Germany becomes permanent member. Italy will not like Germany becoming a permanent member, so it will oppose this G4, and as a result, Italy and Argentina will be look like they are opposing India also. Okay, if India accepts individually, these countries will not oppose us, but because we are going in the platform of G4, The countries which are opposing Brazil, the countries which are opposing Germany, the countries which are opposing Japan will also oppose us. So that is one reason, that is a disadvantage in joining this group 4. But group 4 joining is also as is advantage, because these are all 4 powerful countries and they have a very large saying in the international. They are very powerful countries. All 4 are high GDP countries, so they have a very weightage, but it also acts as some disadvantage. Okay, and because of this reason, there emerged what is known as a coffee club, which is resisting this group becoming non permanent member. That is, this 4 becoming permanent member is resisted by what is known as coffee club. This coffee club is a group of nations which are the neighbors of these 4 countries. Okay, and it will include countries like Italy, which are nearby Germany, Spain, okay, and countries like Australia, Canada, South Korea, Argentina and Pakistan. All these countries are nearby the group 4 countries. Okay, Pakistan is opposing us, Argentina is opposing Brazil becoming. South Korea and Canada don't want any developing countries becoming membership in the UN Council, and Australia is opposing Japan becoming a permanent member, like that. Okay, Italy and Spain are opposing Germany. So this is how this coffee house group, coffee club are resisting. Okay, and they are continuously developing support for themselves against us. Okay, in fact they are actually making support, and this because of this, countries who are not supporting us, no, that is also increasing. That is a challenge that the United Nations will not reform in terms of increasing the permanent membership. Okay, in fact this club was formed after, in the 1997, there was a person called Rassali, who was a uh, General Assembly President, United Nations General Assembly President in the 1997. He actually came up with the idea of 5 new permanent members without veto powers. He said in 1997, that is what called Rassali Plan. He is a United Nations General Assembly President and he came up with this idea, 5 new permanent members in 1997. But since then itself, this coffee club started opposing the group which are aiming to become that 5 group, especially India is there, becoming permanent member, and it has become very strong in recent times. Okay, in fact under the leadership of Italy, no, they are countering the bid for permanent seats. Okay, they are okay with India becoming a non-permanent member, but they are not they don't want these G4 countries to become a permanent member. So that is one big problem. Okay, and they are very effective in undermining the efforts of new permanent member becoming. Okay, also India also doesn't have resources for multilateral diplomacy. India is not as powerful as China. In fact, China is actually has become a very major force in the UN itself. In fact, at present, UN is having equal or more power in UN than USA. In fact, in the past, USA is the major contributor to UN. Even today, USA is a major contributor. The second largest contributor, China has become the second largest contributor in terms of finance, and lot of people in the important organizations of UN are all Chinese members. In fact, China is slowly becoming so powerful in UN, and as a result, they are able to block any attempts for India becoming a member. Okay, and China is also very having such a huge money. No, they are lending money to USA. In fact, USA owes a lot of money to China. They are lending money to a lot of countries like Pakistan and other countries which are developing, Sri Lanka and other things. So they could, because of this economic clout, no, they are moving this. India lacks such a resources, and India is not also the largest contributor to the UN regular budget. Okay, in fact, I said no. USA is single first largest contributor to the UN. Second largest is China, but India being the second largest country, second largest populated country, is the 21st largest contributor to the UN. So India is not contributing that much financially. Even India is sending the largest manpower, that is United Nations forces, but India finance is less. In fact, in modern days, whoever gives the highest money will get things done. Okay, so India cannot buy countries like China do. In fact, there is the example in 2019, no, there was an election to be held for the Food and Agriculture Organization Director General for the United Nations office. It was a high post for, okay, and there was a Cameroon, the African country, which nominated a candidate. Okay, what China did is it wanted to attain this post. So China at this time, because it is having such a huge money, no, it spent some 78 million to Cameroon, and as a result, Cameroon withdraw, and then China became the member Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization. For Cameroon, instead of becoming Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization, the 78 million that it gets from China, no, it could use in its own country. So this is how China is influencing because of its economic clout. India doesn't have that such a kind of resources. In fact, India is contributing as the 21st largest contributor to UN. So India has to improve in that area also if it has to work this multilateral diplomacy. Okay, even though we have all other things going in favor of us, we also have to work in this area if we want to become a new permanent member. So these are all the challenges. This is how you have to attend this question, and I hope this lesson will be very useful for you. Please prepare this lesson. Any kind of questions could be asked, okay, related to this. Okay, thank you, bye.